Good morning, good evening, and welcome to this week's chat. It's so good to see you jumping in here live or catching the replay, seeing watching however you want to watch. So please, if you are watching the replay, just drop in replay gang or ask any of your questions. I do try to make sure that I respond to the comments where I can. So it's a bit of a weird day here. So here in Australia, it's actually the 1st of December, and we don't actually do Thanksgiving here in Australia. So like not as in like we don't do Thanksgiving. We don't have it as like a calendared public holiday celebration thing. So there's lots of stuff that goes on, you know, in the US, and I believe Canada also has a Thanksgiving, but you know, we've noticed that as the world is becoming digitally smaller, things are feeding over. So in Australia, our big massive sales were Boxing Day sales, which was the day after Christmas. And the thing I've noticed is so many companies now are having Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. And it's really interesting. So let me know in the chat if you have nabbed yourself any bargains for Black Friday. So this year, I just grabbed some hard drives. So just my local office works. It was the same sort of money as like Amazon, things like that. So I was like, you know what? I desperately needed the hard drive. So that's what I went and got. But one thing I've really noticed is my credit card gets hammered every sort of this time of year anyway from previous Black Friday sales. So I have to kind of make sure I've got extra cash available for decisions I made years ago. And like, so I've got something in my eye. So I'm like trying to look at like, do I still need to have that? And the answer is, well, yeah, because I've now built systems around it and I need that thing. And then a couple of others are like, did I even know I still had that? So I've got to go in and look at some of the things that hit my credit card and decide, do I still need those softwares? Because I do try to grab sales and grab bargains and pay annually where I can, so it's not the monthly drain on my account. But then when I hit November, I'm like, right, let's just make sure every cent available is on the credit card because I'm not quite sure what's going to come off, which is really, really fiscally irresponsible. So I'm going to be having a good hard look at some of the things that I've got. So sometimes like things like the costs of my websites, they'll be staying, but I'll be looking at plans and making sure I'm on the best deal that I was when I signed it up however many Black Fridays ago. So things like that. Stephanie's in the chat. Hey, Stephanie. Yes, I bought a red light therapy panel for a great price. That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to get something at a really good price because, you know, like it's good to try and get the deal. If it's something you want to get anyway, why not get it on sale? Honestly, we were cracking a bit of a joke here because I technically bought toilet paper on a Black Friday sale price. Bizarre thing to do. But it was cheaper than the store and they would deliver it. And it was like a lot. And it was exactly the same one that we normally buy. So it was just like, well, it doesn't go off. Like, let's just stick it in a cupboard. So buy the stuff you need, you know, like that. You don't have to go out and be crazy. It is a good time to look at the prices of things and things that you're thinking about testing or trialing. So if there's a software that you're not sure if it's going to work for you, or you're not sure it's going to be a fit for your sort of processes, have a look at the Black Friday deal on it. See if it's something you can have for a month or and test it out. And if you may end up being able to get yourself a really great price on something that you didn't really know you needed, but that actually really speeds up your workflow. Because that's the big thing now. Like I don't tend to so much buy things, but I do buy software. So, you know, there's different things that I have now that are just for speeding up processes or for being able to work with different clients and things like that. Like they want you to have this particular sphere of software and you're like, oh, that stuff's real dear, but get a deal on it makes it easy to make the decision. Amazing yacht destination. So good to see you. Bright and early for you on a Monday morning. Now as I was saying when we first jumped in, that it is the 1st of December here in Australia. Monday morning, it's just after 10 a.m. And it's summer. It's really hot, and it's summer, and we've been having some cracker storms. And so we've been, having our power fluctuate and things like that. And this morning when I came in, my roadcaster wouldn't work. It was just being a total numpty. It was just flicking on and flicking off and flicking on. And so I had to like reboot everything and unplug and jiggle. And I'm starting to freak out. Like, okay, I've got my AI1 or A1i or whatever it is, the little Rode that I've got. I can plug that in. I can make that work. But with just the rebooting of the computer, rebooting of the roadcaster like 6 times each, for some reason 6 was the magic number. I think everything's working. It seems to be working on this end, so let me know. But I had a little, flutter in the chest, like, oh my gosh, the Rodecaster Pro 2 is not working. So yeah, little heart attack, but it's all good now. It's all good now. Let's have a look here. Stephanie's saying it is Sunday here in southern USA, 6:07. It's raining and chilly. Christmas lights popping up everywhere. Oh, that's amazing. See, for us, our last sort of thing is Halloween. So as people are taking down their Halloween decorations, they're putting up their Christmas lights. My yard is already Christmas lighted up. My daughter is out there just going hard. And the other thing that we really love is there was a conversation between my daughter and one of her friends. And because my daughter was like, I've just bought a whole other, set of lights to put up, and my friend was like, is your mum and dad going to be okay with like this much electricity? And Abby was like, they're all solar lights. They're not plugged in. They've just got little solar panels attached to them all. And that's one of the big advantages we have here in Australia for Christmas being in summer, is we can set all our crazy lights up and have them set up as solar lights. So that's a big bonus, because I would like to, any additional electricity bills would like to go to using the air conditioning, please. It's been really hot. I'm in Queensland here, so southern Queensland. We're technically subtropics, and we've been having a bit of a storm season this last sort of week and a half, where we've been getting like these massive electrical storms overnight. And so it's just been like, so I was having this conversation, speaking of the solar lights. So how they work is they're just a little black solar panel, and the cord goes off it, and then it goes off to the lights. I'm sure it's got an internal battery in there somewhere, but I don't have to mess around with it. And so what happens is, if you want to test the lights, you just sort of cover the front panel. So I just push it into my shirt or something like that, and I can see that the lights are working, or test which setting I want. Last week at about 2:30 in the afternoon, it was so dark because of thunderstorm clouds that all the solar lights were on. So we've got this crazy thunderstorm, right? Hail and all sorts of stuff, and the solar lights all going all at the same time. And it was just this most surreal thing. I'm looking out the window, and the solar lights are like blowing in the wind, like on the branches of all the trees in the yard and stuff like that, and they're waving in the wind, and they're twinkling away, and there's just this vicious storm on top of it. It was a little bit crazy, and it was like, it's kind of like one of those sort of like surreal moments. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, and we were sort of like, and when we lose power, my office loses power. I mean, the whole house does. And then you're like, okay, which things were on? What do I need to reboot? And you end up having to reboot everything to get it going. So if you're in a situation where it's a bit stormy, something to consider, which you may not have on your wish list, is some sort of UPS or backup battery power for your computer system, just to protect it. It is on my list. They didn't really come down in price much here in Australia, so I sort of didn't pull the trigger on it. But it's definitely something that I have been looking at, because I use so much electricity here in my studio. We've got the lights, I've got 2 monitors, I've got a camera, I've got the Rodecaster, I've got the pretty lights in the background. Do you know what I mean? Like, so by the time you sort of start counting how many plugs you're actually using and how much energy you're drawing into this little corner, it's like, yeah, I could probably really use some sort of battery backup power. So Anchor do some really good ones that I've seen. There's a couple of great companies around that do some really good ones where you could have literally like a few hours. So it's not just a UPS that gives you like 30 minutes so you can get in and sort of shut things down safely, but also just to be able to continue working where you need to keep working. So that's sort of what I'm looking at. But but it's a lot. It's a lot. I think for the one I'm looking at, it's about 1,000 Australian dollars on sale. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's not a now thing, but that is an on the list thing. Let's have a look. Stephanie's been to Perth. Yeah, I've actually not been to Perth. I haven't been over that side. Stephanie says she has a solar gas generator. Yeah, look, they're super useful to have some sort of backup power. Here in like when our jobs, when our careers or our side hustles or whatever it is that we're doing, like whatever YouTube is to you, if you don't have the ability to charge batteries for your camera or to edit your videos or whatever it is, you're at a standstill. So sometimes these are the not so like cool things. Like it's not an Elgato prompter, it's not a Stream Deck, it's not something fun, but it is actually something that's really important. And I've got a good friend who sometimes jumps into these chats and he is like, why don't you have this? Why don't you have, he's on my case all the time about it. And he's 100% right. And I just haven't done it. It just seems to, like, because it's such a big ticket item, it just seems to be that thing that it's like, look, I'll just go out and I'll just buy another little thing. I'll just get that little thing. And by the time you buy 3 or 4 little things, I could have bought the big thing, but I just haven't. And I really need to shift the mindset on that one. Hey Dimmy, it's great to see you. Thanks for jumping in. Stephanie, yeah, it is one of these things where you sort of, it's so easy to get caught up in the fun stuff or the new exciting software or the new this or the new that. But then like at the end of the day, if you don't have reliable power, like for your YouTube sort of journey, that's kind of like a big thing. That's a big thing. The other thing I'm a bit of a junkie on is the power packs. And one of mine is missing and I don't know where it is. And it's like, it's pulling on my heart a little bit, but I get the big, like the proper, where's one? Where is one? I get these guys. This one's an old Rav Power. I've had this one for a few years and now I've got like a little Anchor one that does the same amount of sort of charge as this bigger one because it's a bit older. But I can totally charge laptop off it and the phone a couple of times. So if we just have a little blackout, I'm good. I'm good. How about reliable power just to exist? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's an insane thing. Where I live is suburbia, right? So mains power, mains water, mains sewage, everything's like on the grid. But only 5 minutes down the road, we've got properties where if they lose power, their water pumps don't work. So they can no longer get water to have showers, do washing, flush the toilet, anything, wash the dishes, have a drink. They have to manually go out and fill up buckets at their water because they're on water tanks. And it's literally like 5 minutes, sort of just not even like 5 minutes away. Like we're right on the edge of this suburbia. And it's all these little things that people forget until that for whatever reason there's massive power outages. And like every person has like this, there's the pros and cons to where they live, right? Like so these people, the pros are they've usually got a bigger property, so like 5 acres or something. So they've got more space, they've got big sheds, they've got big houses and pools and all this sort of stuff, bigger dwellings, and then just space as well around them. The downside is they're not on town water, so they have to have power to power their the power to be able to flush their toilet. But yeah, so we all have these ups and downs. So like for me, I got power, but I got a much smaller yard, and I don't have space for like building extra dwellings and things on my property. But yeah, and air conditioning. Oh my gosh. Stephanie, our air conditioners have just been on. They're not on right now because we've actually got a beautiful cool breeze and we're just taking advantage of it just to give our electricity bill a time to take a sigh. Electricity in Australia is really expensive. And so it's just like, but you know, we have to have fans on still. So, you know, but yeah, it's these little things that we don't really consider checking out in the sales that could actually be like, you know, it could actually be like game changers as to whether you can be effective or not. Stephanie says, I'm on half an acre, I'm in a subdivision and still need power to flush the toilets. Yeah, so if that's the thing, if you're not on town water, you have to have power to flush the toilet. So, you know, whereas like where I am, our toilets are just, our water doesn't need power to be pushed into the pipes. It just, you know, it's gravity fed and there's no problems. But yeah, it's just one of those things, and you've really got to think about what it is. It's a good time of the year to really sit down and just. I actually think a better time to do it is a few weeks ago, before the sales come and before the glittering bargain splashies come and sprinkle in your eyes. But just sort of really just sit down and work out what you've got, what you actually need, or what would be a really nice upgrade. And go and check out the sales based on that information, not just, oh, that looks cool, I'll get that. And then, you know, a year later realize, oh yeah, I barely touched that. Did I even unwrap it out of its box? Probably not, you know, like, so make some smart decisions, and you'll be able to, like, the advantage is you can get what you need sort of during, like, making sure that you've got all these, like, things that you actually need and things that you'll actually use for your processes and your workflows. What the really big game changer for me was realizing that as long as I have everything on this desk, right? So if I've got everything set up, ready to go. So historically on my other channel, I would build a set out of my living room. I would like full on backdrop set, build the whole thing out, put in a table, bring out all the cameras, microphones, everything, all that sort of stuff. Every Monday morning, I would, like, this was a long time ago, I'd drop my daughter at school, I would come home, I would build the set, I would record the video, I would leave the set set up, double check the files, and then if they were all good and everything worked, because sometimes you'd be like, oh, the microphone wasn't on, or because you've got to pull everything apart and replug it in and, you know, and pack it all back down. Because I didn't have a space, and I know that's a luxury. I know having a dedicated space is a luxury, but realizing the dedicated space you need may not be as big as you think. So the dedicated space I have now for this is the size of a desk, plus technically, you know, the backdrop, but that's not so much dedicated. It's just a shelf with all my stuff in it, or it's actually a chest of drawers. With a pile of stuff in it. But this space from here, it's about 1.6 meter desk by 80 centimeters. So I don't know what that is in American. So you'll need to do some Google convertings. But everything I have is attached to the desk to the point where it's a sit-stand desk. And if I hit the button to stand, everything comes up. The lights, the monitors, the camera, everything comes with it. All the power cables have been run in such a way that they uncoil and come up with the desk. So this was the space that I needed. And I work very hard to try and keep the actual desk itself clean and clear. I'm one of these people where if there's a flat surface, I've put stuff on it, right? Not here. Not here. This is not where that happens. I use this table all the time. Like, even if I'm just crafting and watching Netflix or something, I like kick back. I've got like a little footstool under my desk here, put my feet up, knitting away, watching my show. My little table becomes totally full of junk, coffee cups, yarn, all the things. But when I'm done, I clear it all. So right now, all that's on here is what I need for live streaming. So I've got my, there is one little messy spot that I was like, oh, I need to fix that. But it's like a little spot. Now I'm just going to do a thing here. I don't know if I've got it set up properly or not. And I was unplugging and plugging things back in. So it may or may not work. Where's my Thursday live stream? So here we go. This is what my desk is looking like right now. Let me just see if I can zoom out on it. Yes, I can. There we go. So that's it. That's my desk right now. So the things that I'm not super happy about is this little pile of schmutz here. These are just cables this is just headphones that need to be rolled back up, but everything else is clean. I'm like looking at the floor here that I can see in this shot. They're just the cables off my, the thing so that I can pull that all the way over kind of thing. But that's it. But I had to make this space for this. And so when I get in a new piece of kit, this has to be mostly clear, right? I like to have a notepad and a pen, a water bottle. My phone is just here on this stand. I pull this in for when I'm live streaming. I push it back out to the corner when I'm not. My glasses case is actually not normally here. So, you know, little things like that. And that's how this desk runs. And that helps me to really just focus on the work that I'm doing. It helps me to have a workspace because I work from home. So this is where I work. So when I'm doing all my client work, this is where I work. Now, sometimes, if I don't need the extra monitors, it will be on the couch with my laptop out in the living room. Hey, Doug, how you going? So sometimes that's like, let's be honest, sometimes I want to go and sit on a comfy couch and put my feet up, and if what I'm doing lets me do it, I'm going to do it. But this is my happy space now. I've got a super comfy chair. This was a big buy, I think, just last year. It feels like I've had it longer, but it is just, the chair was the last big buy for this space, I think. And it was a tough call for me. And if the communities around me, so both Fiberific and here, hadn't have helped me crowdfund that through Buy Me a Coffee, I probably still wouldn't have it. Because it's one of those things in my brain where it's just like, oh, do I really need a new chair? The other one's fine. You know, the lumbar support was pushing into the wrong spot and it was costing me a fortune in chiropractic bills, but it's fine. You know, so if they hadn't have sort of jumped in and been like, hey, if you set up a Buy Me a Coffee goal, we'll help you get it, and then you can get the chair. And then I did something like just silly, the YouTube thing where you could create the targets came up, and it was a new thing, and I was just like, oh, let's just test one. And I just made it so that it was like, oh, if we get 10 super chats of yellow and above, then, you know, when we get the chair in, I'll do a live stream of me building the chair. And it was just like this throwaway thing. I didn't realize that my community would want to watch me build a chair. And I just hit that 10 really fast. And it was just like, looking at the rest of my space here, because this is the space. Looking at the other half of this room, which is not like this. It is piles of yarn. And there's no camera to show you over there. That could be intentional. And it's worse than usual at the moment because I've been resorting out some of the storage, so everything's out. And so yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, and I had to clear all this space so that I had another table to work on to build and set up cameras and lighting, and it was just like, I really didn't think that you guys and the Fiberific guys would actually want that. So be careful what you just throw away for testing on, because you may end up needing to do that. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad, but at the same time I was just like, what am I doing? Oh my gosh, this is a yarn crafting channel and I'm building a chair on it. Like talk about poles apart from your niche. There were people coming into the live stream like, well, thought they'd be knitting and crocheting going, but sometimes we can do stuff for our community. And I think I have unlisted that video now because it really didn't match and it was really confusing, the algorithm. But yeah, look, yeah, Stephanie's written here, my cabling situation is called Velcro. I use a lot of Velcro. There's a lot of power, okay? So like, I got a Mac Mini, all its plugs are full. One of its plugs are full of is being used to power the new Rode hub. All of its plugs are full. So there's a lot of cabling. So at the back, under my desk at the back, I've got cabling baskets because, you know, some things have got the big power bricks, you know, like all that sort of stuff. It's just one of those things where, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. So that's just tucked up under the edge of the, and that's not neat. That's cable it on. Because, you know, the other thing is I want to be able to pull things out and play with them. The other thing that I highly recommend, if they bring them back out, I noticed, because I was like going to grab more for the Black Friday sale, is the Linus Tech Tips cable management things. There's little magnetic arches. I don't think I can grab one without pulling anything right down. They are fantastic. Luckily for me, this table actually is got metal for metal cross beam across the middle and that way and stuff, so I can just connect those straight onto there. But they actually have these plates that you can stick onto timber so that their magnetic thing can stick to the plates. The thing I really wanted from them is the things for connecting power boards, and they don't have any of those, so I really want to keep an eye out for those. But yeah, look, zip ties, I tend to use a lot of fabric zip ties. I buy entire rolls of Velcro. I use a lot of Velcro. I also use a lot of gaff, you know, the black gaff tape. I'm like a 90s lighting chick. Like I would do lighting for stage shows and stuff like that. And we just gaffed everything. And so gaff's in my blood. My workbox is not a workbox unless there's a couple of rolls of gaff in it. And a cordless screwdriver, you know, like a tech gun is what we called it. So those sorts of things, but they're throwbacks. So I don't know if gaff is the way to go anymore. Please don't use gaff unless you know, want to. But I use a lot of gaff for a lot of stuff. So, but you've really also got to think about, oh, I just realized that plug is not quite in. There we go, that's better. So the other things that I use a lot of is power boards, because this room has 2 plugs, 2 sockets. That's it. 2 sockets doesn't do much. So I've got like 3 power boards going into 2 sockets. So I've actually done the thing that is like the power board into the power board. That's really, I don't recommend that. It's totally unsafe. But what I have done is off that power board, so that the daisy chained power board, it's all really light use things or things that rarely get used. So it's really, I'm really cautious about that. So really like low key, like phone chargers and like the little lightweight ones, not the big, you know, not the big 100 watt ones, but like the little 35 watt ones, things like that. It's a self-justification because you should never ever powerboard off a powerboard. Never powerboard off a powerboard, but then I went and did it because I have no choice. The other thing that I've done is I have an extension lead that runs out of this room and into the bathroom, because there's a spare power point in the bathroom, and that runs all the lights on that side of the room. Everything over there is connected to that one. So I have Wi-Fi power boards so that I can turn them off and on. They connect to Google as well. So I just picked them up from Amazon. They were not expensive at the time. I don't know what they are now. And you can just set them up through a home app, and then, you know, I can tell the thing, which I'm not going to say because, you know, it'll do it, but I'll tell the thing to turn the fan on or turn on the video lights, and everything comes up ready for me. So that was a really inexpensive, fun way to get a little bit of automation in my office. Hey, little crafty nook, great to see you. Thanks for jumping in. John says here, you should cover your chair in yarn, the bold crossover we didn't know we needed. Hello. But yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird. Livestream consultants, it's great to see you. The Queen of Ban hammering, burn her place down with a spaghetti octopus coming out of every outlet. Yeah, look, and I try really hard to be cautious, and I look at what I've got plugged into the different power boards. All my power boards have got surge protectors on them. So if one does something, it's not going to affect the others, things like that. Also, I want to protect as much equipment as possible. So like the Mac Mini is on one power board, but my expensive camera is on a different power board, and things like that, just so that the damage is diminished, so I don't just like lose all the expensive things if one power board goes. But yeah, it's an interesting juggling act, and I quite often sit here going, do I really need all this stuff? Do I really need it all? And the answer is no, I don't. I don't need any of it, really. I mean, I do. I need monitors. I need the Mac Mini. If I'm going to live stream from here, I need the camera, I need the Rodecaster, I need lights. So, you know, it's what are you doing? What are you using your space for, and work out what you actually need from there and how to set it up in the safest way possible with the least pathways to destruction, the least chance of fire. And like the other thing is, like, I've got all black, like sound deadening curtaining through. And so one thing I've done is around my desk, it's actually hemmed up so it's nowhere near the power outlets. So it's actually still below the top of the desk, but up off the floor, like it actually reaches the floor. So it's up off the floor so that the whole power section is in no way anywhere near anything other than wall, which is still flammable. Wall is still flammable, technically speaking. But yeah, I've done what I can do. Gear can spark joy though. Absolutely, gear can spark joy in multiple ways. Either in like the, oh my gosh, I've got a new cool thing, which is awesome, but also in that spark fire started way. So, you know, you just have to think of these things. Keep everything clean, keep it dust free. Dust also can, you know, create, can be like, you know, fodder. So just keeping it tight, like keep a can of, you know, my compressed air, and I always grab some when it's on sale, because I got busted knees. Getting down there to dust things is not going to happen. But I get in there and just sort of give everything a little gentle spray. I don't want it to get too cold or anything like that, so I'm very careful with it. And then just give it all a bit of a spray just to keep the dust away from the flammable things. I might be a little bit obsessed with the whole fire thing. I know, just, you know, I've got family members who've lost houses and stuff. So, and they did everything that they thought that they should be doing. So I just try to be really careful. And this room is particularly heavy. It's particularly heavy. Doug, I believe I just bought a new can and I got some in a Black Friday sale. So the compressed air, at least in Australia, I think it was like $5 cheaper a can or something like that. I was tempted to buy two. Little Crafty Nook says, we're getting ready to remodel. The windows are the easy part. Yeah, they are. You do realize that each outlet only supports, at least in the States, 50 amps total. You'll be surprised how much you're actually pulling if you put a weight meter in line. I know that power in Australia is totally different than the US, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm pulling more power through than I should be. So yeah, our power situation is here. Like here in Australia, it's not legal for me to put my own power points in. Like I know in the US, you can switch your power points. We're not allowed to do that here. You have to have a trained electrician to do that. Like a qualified electricians have to put in light fittings, fans, power points, all that sort of stuff. That's not, you're not allowed to do that here because our power is very different. You guys have got a maximum 110 volts. 110 watts, I should say. We've got 240, and it's an issue. Like I was looking at buying this Western Digital sort of tower of terabytes, and then the comment that we were getting from like Australian buyers at a local, like at Officeworks, which is an Australian bricks and mortar stationery store. And people like, this is coming with an American plug in it. And others were like, oh, you just put an adapter on it. It's just like, dude, I'm not putting an adapter on something that, like just the plug adapter. It needs the whole power conversion from the 110 up to the 240 because it's got all my data in it. I don't want a power surge going through that. and just wiping everything. So, you know, you do have to think about these things. We've already discussed that way. Don't be letting the magic smoke out of the streaming equipment. It's way too hard to put it back in. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, John, you're right. In Australia, we do need to be ever vigilant with fire. We really do. Yeah. It's very easy to get lax on these things. It's very easy to get lax. And I'm sure every sort of region has its own thing that it needs to be aware of. Like I'm sure that if you're in an area that it snows and your water freezes, you've got things that you, like, in the back of your mind, you know you have to do to stop the water from freezing in your pipes, things like that, or things that would diminish that. And so, you know what I mean? Like, so that I'm sure every sort of area has got its own little things. Here for us, it's fires and bushfires and things like that. So the other thing that happens here a lot, especially in winter, is a lot of house fires, because our houses, how do I describe this? Our houses are dumb. They're not really designed for hot times or cold, especially not cold times. So if you, well, they're actually more designed for the heat, for getting the heat out of your house. Houses have whirlybirds and what have you on the roof just to suck the heat out of your house. Unfortunately, in winter, they suck the heat out of your house. And so people are doing things like using extra heaters and things like that. And some of those things aren't always fantastic. And so it's, you know, it's these things where you're just like, oh man, okay, they've used a dodgy heater and they didn't know to be careful and something fell in front of it and that caught fire and boom, 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 and off it goes. There's these funny things like, oh, you know, Canadians laugh about Australians complaining about the cold, and then they come to Australia in winter thinking it's just going to be a cakewalk, because our winter, especially in Brisbane, our winter is like, oh, it got to a top of 20 degrees Celsius, which is their top in summer. And we're like, oh, it's so cold. But what they don't understand is our houses are actually colder inside than it is outside. And rather than heat the whole house, we heat the individuals. So like hoodies and socks and you know, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's very different. It's very different. SMA Sky says, I've installed ceiling fans, outlets, power switches, even a new power line to install the ceiling fans where a light fixture didn't exist. If we did that in Australia, our insurance would not cover us if something happened. If it did not have a certification on it, where the electricians had been in and done it for you, and you did it yourself and something happened, your home insurance would not cover anything. It would be void. And you'd probably get a fine on top of it for not having an electrician do major electrical works. So yeah, it's just, you know, it's bizarre, isn't it? And I think part of it is because we do have different electricity. Or different amounts of electricity. The few times I've done Christmas carols by candlelight and end up covered in wax, I avoid open flames at all costs. Yeah, we quite often have these, like if you go to any of those carols by candlelight things now, like we do have them, we love them in Australia. For a start, it's still light for half of it, so they don't even turn their little things on. But you buy like this little candle that's actually got a AA or AAA battery in it. And so it's candle shaped with a little flame look on the top. And then you just turn it on and you put the little cardboard thing around, like the little wax protector thing around it, so it still looks the look. But yeah, we don't use the open flames. Yeah, and that's going to happen. There's always a dodgy brother out there who managed to somehow get a certification, still does crap work. So yeah, and look, we have those here too, the total dodgy brothers, and it's just a case of finding someone who's not. So, you know, you're always looking for recommendations from people who've actually used that electrician or plumber or, you know, builder or whatever it is, and going from there. And that's always the fun part. And tradies in Australia I don't know what it's like in other countries, but like a tradie in Australia is bringing in good coin. Like they're making some decent money. Same here. I ran in a 220 to a location just to split it back to 110 on two separate circuits so it would not pull too many amps. Yeah, see, you guys, you know that you can do it. Like, we're not allowed to here. It's not even a case of, can I physically do it? Do I have the knowledge to do it? it's illegal for us to do it. Oh, John's been getting some cool stuff. Let me look here. I must admit, I've been buying some fun toys for my DJ Osmo Pocket on AliExpress and Amazon Haul lately, though I barely have time to play with my toys when they arrive. Life is too busy. I may have bought like yarn and stuff that just sits here and it looks pretty and I don't have time to touch it for some time. Doesn't mean it wasn't worth buying. Like it doesn't mean that. I've got my pod mic that I don't use all the time. I used to use it a lot more and you know, it's already been its value, but doesn't mean it wasn't worth getting. Sometimes you just have to do that math, whether it's like we've got girl math and boy math. Do we need tech math? I think we need some tech math going on. So yeah, it's one of those things. I did go through a visual arts phase, but at some point I realized I liked shopping more than painting. Look, there is a discussion amongst yarn crafters. I'm sure it's amongst more crafters, but I've heard it amongst yarn crafters where stash acquisition, or I've definitely heard it amongst sewers as well. Stash acquisition is a different hobby than doing what the stash is for. So buying yarn is a different hobby than knitting, and buying fabric is a different hobby than quilting or making clothes. Livestream consultant says, we're judging Chantelle, just spill the beans on what you got new for streaming. I didn't buy anything new for streaming. I didn't. I'm really happy with my setup. So the only thing I've bought technically for work was a couple of hard drives. And it's just because I don't have a NAS set up here. I love the idea of a nice NAS and being able to do like have it back itself up automatically. Like so have the two drives and one drive is being just a clone of the other. I love the idea. I don't like the price tag. And so what I did instead was I bought 2 hard drives. I bought 2 different brands. So I've got a Lacey and a Western Digital. And I just, they're cold storage. So everything important that I needed saved, I dumped and saved onto both of them. So they're a clone of each other as well. And then every month or so I'll come in, connect one back up and do a dump. And I'll just have to go in and manually check the condition. Just go in and manually check the condition of the drives every now and again, just to make sure they're good. But I managed to get 2 4 terabyte drives for about, I think it was about 400 or 500 Australian dollars, which would be about $350 US. And these are just so it's a Lacey portable. It's not the Lacey with the orange on it. It's just the standard Lacey drive and a Western Digital Ultra Passport, which I will say this. Lacey plugged in and worked, no problems. Western Digital, I had to go in and change it over to make it work on a Mac. And I'm like, why does Lacey's work on both? You know, why do Western Digital make it so hard? Why do they make it so we have to do that? Anyway, I don't want to go down that path. Western Digital, and I just find they're both solid brands. And the reason I didn't go with 2 of the same is because if there's a failure issue with one, it may not happen with the other. Oh, John, I was so burnt with my NAS unit, just stopped working on Boxing Day 1 year. I just don't trust them anymore. Were you able to take the drives out and get them to work on something else? Like, were you able to retrieve your data is my question. So what I have for my data, and what I want to say right now, precursor, this is probably not the best way to do it. Okay, this is just the way I'm doing it because I'm super paranoid because I lost some data 1 year and I had to deal with the tax man for it and it was a nightmare and I never want to do that again. So all the important small data, so not video files, is on 2 different clouds. So I have Google Drive and I have OneDrive, and I have them duplicated, right? And so I work off the OneDrive files all the time, and then I will go in every now and again and just sort of do a duplication over there, and it's a bit of a mess. I've got to clean it up. It's not ideal, but I've got them saved on 2 clouds, right? Then any extra video files and stuff like that, I save on hard drives. Client data, I have saved on both clouds and the 2 hard drives, except for like full video, like unfinished videos. They just go on the hard drive. So the finished product will go up onto a cloud drive, but all the components, they go onto just a video drive until I'm told I don't need them anymore and I can delete them. So yeah, it's just how we do it. Yeah, that's right. It's not the lacy, it's the lacy. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm going to get a wireless adapter for the XLR mic so I can connect an XLR4 mic mixer board to another mixer, as I have a need for formal mics I do not have wireless for. Are you talking about like, hang on, I've got it right here. I was going to unplug it and it didn't. Where is your little button? There we go. Are you talking about like these, the XLR V1s, where you can plug in the wireless transmitter and then plug, is this what you're talking about? Because these are great. This was really handy. I don't know if this is the best solution for a large scale project, but it's perfect for me. So what I can do here is, like, I've got a Rodecaster, but I have the old Rode, like the old school Rode wireless kits, like with what are they called? I can't remember what they're called, but the big ones with the batteries in them, which have fantastic distance and is still phenomenal quality, right? Like, it's still fantastic, but it couldn't connect wirelessly to the Rode, but I could connect it, transmitter in that end, the XLR into the Rode. And I also can do this with my honey, what are they called? Not honey. It also works with my Holylands. So I get to have, you know, even though the Rode is not Rode and not being fun, I still get to use my wireless mics. So these are great. If you've got a Rodecaster, or you've got like the little, any kind of only XLR audio thing, and you want to connect your wireless mics to it, go and grab one of these. It is the VXLR Plus, and I think I was like 15, 20 Australian dollars, and it made my Rode wirelesses and my Holylands work with my thing. So super useful, super just little thing. The other thing that I buy a lot of, which I didn't buy in Black Friday sale because I just bought a pile the other day, is USB-C to USB-A adapters. I love those dang things. I get the Ugreen ones. They're fantastic, and it's just awesome for being able to just to plug everything in, because so many of the hubs and things now are coming with all USB-C, except my Stream Deck is USB-A, my Cam Link is USB-A. Yeah, I've got a pile of things that are USB. The Rode, my Rode microphone, what are you called again? I always forget. Video mic NTG, that's USB-A. I'm sure I could probably buy a new cable for it and just make it USB-C, but I haven't done that yet. So yeah. Not really, and honestly, I didn't really lose anything I particularly needed. The drives themselves were fine, but I couldn't work out the RAID system to try and get it back. Yeah, and that's the thing, like the RAIDs and the NAS are fiddly, right? They're a bit fiddly, and I didn't have the mental space to deal with that. I just needed to get this data off my little SSDs because I needed the SSDs for editing more stuff on. So I just went and picked up a couple of HDDs and just and just transferred the data off, cleared out the SSDs, and I'm off and racing again. I don't understand how Amazon works, but it was cheaper to buy 4 times newer Basics wireless labs than it was to buy 2. I don't mean per mic, I mean in total. Oh, wow. That is crazy. But now you've got some backups. I'm assuming you bought the 4. I would have. I'd be like, oh, you can go in my drawer of backups. I was like, this morning when I couldn't get the Rodecaster to boot and to play nice, I was like, right, I'm pulling out because I've got a little Rode, AI1, The little, just like one plug in, one plug out, or two plugs in, one plug out kind of thing. I'm like, right, I'm just going to use the pod mic. And then realized I could try and fix them. Oh no, it's an actual, okay. They're around $50 US, need 12 mics on a stage and have 8 good wireless. So got to get a little creative. I understand. You need a degree in rating. You do. Setting up a proper NAS with like a, with a good RAID system behind it. It's I'm sure if I sat down and just walked through a tutorial, I could do it, but I don't know if I'd understand it, and that bugs me. I like to understand things. John says, but then I found a good deal on the Rode Labs, so now I've got like 15 mics for one guy and a single voice. Look, I'm not the person to judge how many mics anyone has. We won't be discussing how many I have. Let's just say it's more than one, all right? So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I'm sure we've all got a thing in our lives that we just go a little bit doolally on, and we just buy more of them than we need. I'm sure everyone's got something in their life that they're just like, you know what, I just need some extras of those. I'll just put those aside. And it may be craft related, it may be toilet paper, it may be bags of pasta, it could be any hard drives, it could be anything. For you, it sounds like it's labs. And also, it doesn't have to be one thing. You could have multiple things that you like to have backups of. If you've been around this channel for a while, you know I'm not comfortable if I don't have backups. So I have 2 monitors. If they both go down, I've got a laptop, right? Or I'm just going to go and steal one of my husband's monitors if he's not at home, like if he's not working from home. So we technically have 4 monitors in the house. I have got other cameras that I can use. They're not the same. They're not exactly the same camera. They're models that I replaced this one with, but they weren't dead, so I've still got them. They may not be ideal. They may not be perfect. I've still got them. I've got a laptop as well as my Mac Mini. And technically I've got a Windows laptop. I haven't booted it up for a bit. It's probably got like 900 million updates it's got to do, and then it'll probably brick itself, who knows. But I've got that as well. I've got the backup for my Rodecaster. So I've got the little, it's just a little basic, what is that thing called? It's the Rode, I think it's an AI1. Right now, set up and ready to switch. I'm currently using the Rode NTG, but I have a pod mic right there, whereas if I just push a slider up, the pod mic's working. Lighting, same deal. I've got a couple of lights in a drawer that I could replace these 2 with if need be. So the things that I need. Oh, also, I have my mobile phone data plan is with a different company than my home data, so that if one goes down, I've still got the other. And it's because I'm paranoid. Doug says, I've got the newer lav mics to plug into my Rode wireless. Yeah, because this is the thing, right? You buy a lot of these little wireless things, right? The little squares, the Rode wireless. You can plug lav mics into them. You don't have to have the cube in shot. You can plug a great little lav mic into it. People are using the Boya mics. Then, look, I'm a massive fan of the newer gear. I've got these lights and newer lights. Are these all newer lights? That one's a newer light. I love this little light. It's magnetic. I just connect it to things. I've got so many newer light stands. I think newer are great. And I know they're having a massive Black Friday sale. So if you're looking for something, go and check there as well. But is it in the double digits? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's have a look here. Yeah, I'd be concerned if I heard another voice coming out of a person like that. Isn't that what ventriloquists do? Ventriloquists totally do that. There we go. I've got the DJI Mic 2, which can be used by itself or put in a mic holder. I got my own. JL logo flocked windshield. Nice. With a lav, so many possibilities, so little time. It's just one of these things. Like there was a conversation that was had at I think it was VidCon in Melbourne quite a few years back. I think like 2018, 2019. And there was a guy on stage and he does production. He sets up all the lights and equipment. And someone was asking him about the difference between like the really inexpensive softboxes people are using for home studios versus the very expensive softboxes that he uses. And the thing that he said really stuck with me, which was his gear is designed to just be crushed up and thrown in a truck, go to the next event, open out and work. His has to be able to do that thousands of times. The gear that we buy for our home studios or our setups where they stay and they don't move around, they don't need to be packed up and put down and packed up and, you know, rebuilt and all that sort of thing. They don't need to be the same quality. They just don't. They're not being driven around in the back of production trucks through the mountains to get onto the side of a cliff to be, you know, tied onto a tree so they don't fall down. You know, like they're different equipment for different tasks. You don't need the most expensive thing. Will it do the job is the question. Will it do the job for a while? Will you be happy with it? So a big thing for me was when I upgraded to these lights, I wanted something that I could play with the colors. And so my old lights were just, you could change the warmth of the white light. My new lights, they're full RGB. I got a thing about the RGB lights. I love being able to change the colors on things and play with them. It's a personal thing. I only ever use the white for when I'm streaming. So yeah. You can have newer gear for years and it's still newer. Yes. I have a newer 8000 something USB mic. I should look at that to make my Christmas list. I need a light for my desk, random work areas, and probably making videos. I love light. I love light. One of the issues I have with one of my eyes has an issue where everything goes a bit darker. So I need a lot of light, right? And so I have lots and lots of little lights all around the shop. I'm just trying to think. Like I've got this guy. Oh, the reason I can't find him is I've got him up there. I've got, there should be another one. Anyway, I've got a pile of these little, so, you know, I bought this aperture one, like this is just an old school main color, like one, that the first one that they brought out, which I love. And then I've got like little flatter one, like flat, thinner ones. I don't even know where they are. They're hiding. They're probably attached to something. I like a light that's magnetic as well. I find it to be super useful. And you just find the lights and find the equipment that suits your purpose. We've got newer, we've got small rig, you know, all of these great little brands that are bringing out really cool stuff. One of the things that I love to use and I use a lot, and I don't have any available to show you one that's not holding something up right now. And they're the little black, I might have some components. No. No, but I've got this one. So I've got like I've got a whole basket of little ball mounts, right? Like all different sizes. This is sort of like my second smaller size all the way up to really big ones, right? So I've got a thing for ball head mounts and you know, being able to adjust them. And I've got all the connecting screws so that I can screw them into whatever I want. So I've got one on this clip so I can just, you know, hard clip that onto something. It's a bit stiff. So having those, but the ones I really like are the, what are they called? They're the magic clamps. So it's basically like, it's like a black clamp with a winder on the top. Let's see if I can connect my phone. Because I can just show you one. But anyway, and then you can just screw whatever you want into it and go from there. And whether it's a camera, whether or not it's like a little magic ball mount arm that you can jig to make, which I use over on the lights. I have a pile of those, and whenever I spot them on sale, I grab an extra one. I just find that I really utilize a lot of those little things a lot. I've got little things like when I bought my small rig, my newer lights, they weren't quite high enough. So I attached them to ball mounts that I had spare that just got them up that little bit higher. So yeah, just little things, and they're not expensive. Don't need anything big. Don't really have the room. So any of those small rectangular ones would probably do the job. Yeah. Look, a lot of the small rectangular flat lights now are coming out. They're fantastic. Like, just have a look around for them. The big thing is you want to be able to control the brightness, because quite often, like mine is set to currently about 20%. Like, so I've got one at 15 and one at 25, and putting them any brighter and I'm like this, right? But just having the ability to control the brightness of the light and the warmth of the light. That's the two important things for me. John says it's been fun creating a little go bag for my DJI Pocket 3 and accessories. Ulanzi. Yeah, Ulanzi is another fantastic one. So it's a small rig. I was trying to think of the third one. Small rig, Nua, and Ulanzi. They make great products. They really do. And for cables and connectors, Ugreen, okay? Like they're the things that you need. John says, I just recently got one of those clips. I'm like, where is the one? I should have sworn I had another one. I don't. The other thing, I have absolute boatloads of these. I use them for so many things. I buy them in like 20 packs. I actually utilized a pile of them to hold fence posts in place while I was hammering in fence posts. You know, like, useful for many things, all right? Hey, Philip Murphy, it's great to see you. It's that month when you recycle anything old content that looks at like Christmas alongside new content. I'm not quite sure I understand what that means. I'll tell you one thing. Do you know, it was really hard for me was not setting up my Christmas lights in here already. So I changed my studio, because I'm a bit of a Christmas junkie. I change everything up in here, and I've got a whole crate of Christmassy things, right? It's December 1st here for me. It's our last holiday thing here in Australia was Halloween. So it's been some time between changing the colors of things. So I'm like itching, and I was like, no, I can't do it for this live stream, because technically a lot of you watching, it's still Thanksgiving long weekend. So I'm like, and you might be all like, oh, it's too early for Christmas. Our shopping centers have had Christmas up since the end of October. So yeah, looking into the nice VD lights, I have the small ones, which are the 8-inch, and I'm going to get the bigger 2-pack of 25-watt flat panels for 48. There you go. Bicolor and dimmable. That's what you want. SMA Sky says, dang, the newer panel light is $45 right now for 2. Yeah. Like, it's one of those, yeah, you can legally set up the Christmas lights now. It's December 1. We're really lucky. My daughter did get out early to put out the Christmas, like the yard lights. But no one seems to have complained. So we've gotten through. We've made it. John says, in all fairness, I was listening to Christmas records on Sunday. I think leaving Christmas until Christmas is too late. It'll be over. I'll be over it by then. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, you want to enjoy the Christmas stuff that you like and the music that you like, but then you go to the shopping centers and you get all the bad versions of the songs, and it's just bombarded all the time. Absolutely. I started watching Christmas movies like a month and a half ago. I love the dodgy, stupid, totally predictable Hallmark Christmas movies. I love them. I think they're great. So, you know, I watch them every year. I watch them all year. My family probably overhearing this going, no. She watches those Christmas movies all year round. I do. If I'm in the mood for a bit of winter, that's what I do. But yeah, there's so many little things, and I'm sure we've all got a piece of equipment or something like that simple, like this guy here, or the little USB-A to USB-C adapters. We've all got something small like that when we share that with someone else and go, oh my God, this thing has been a life changer, and then they start using it and they're like, oh my God, you're right, it's a life changer. You know, it's just because, I don't know how, just because one person's got a voice doesn't mean other people don't have something equally, if not more so, interesting or awesome to share. And that's what I love about digital communities, is that we can all talk there. Like, so if you know, if you remember on Doug's channel, he's got his Discord, there's the Can Do Community Discord, there's the Facebook groups for different things. And it is absolutely, it's absolutely so important to be able to just share this stuff, because something that you might totally take for granted, like this, I saw a lady in a YouTube video use this and I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing is fantastic. And it was like 15, 20 bucks or something. And it was a game changer. It made my wireless labs connectable to my Rodecaster, which they were not before. So, and I'm sure lots of people like, yeah, I already knew that. I didn't know that. And I'm sure there's other people who don't know that. We need to be passing the information along and sharing it with everybody so that we're all getting the good advice. I've been installing the individually addressable LED strips on the house. It's good for year-round lighting. Yeah, look, one thing we've really noticed this year with some of how my daughter set the lights up is there was this one particular set of lights that she set up that we're just like, those are fantastic and they're so good all the time. I wonder if we could use them all the time. So I don't know if we can or if we'll replace them, because at the moment they're Christmas color lights, but whether we could replace them and change them or put something different in that spot. We've realized an area needs light that we didn't realize needed light before. Or we knew it was always dark, but we just didn't, you know, we were like, oh, you know what? It was so simple just to chuck solar lights up here. Little clips and adapters are so useful. Great stocking stuffers if you know a creator, and they are pretty inexpensive. Oh, absolutely. I get a 2-pack of my USB-A to USB-C adapters for like 10 bucks or something. And they are so useful. They are so useful. Philip says, the photo of my lights, however, is from the past because they look the same. You tend to put up the same things as long as they work. We change things around a little bit. Like when it comes to our Christmas tree, it's pretty similar because a lot of our ornaments have meaning, right? Not all of them, but we have a lot of ornaments up that have meaning. So we want to make sure they're all on the tree. But, you know, the tinsel dies, so you replace the tinsel, and you might replace it with a different color or a different thickness or something. That's pretty similar. And when it comes to the house, we don't always decorate the house. Sometimes I'm a bit bar humbuggish, and we'll do the outside and we'll have the tree. But I don't want like the whole house, you know. But I think this year we'll be able to do it. So yeah. So, yeah. Livestream Consultant says the newer ones are only 10 watt output. The nice VD ones are 25 watt output. I think it's one of those things where it depends on your situation. You may not need 25 watt output, but you might need it. It depends on the situation that you're working in. So, yeah. And there we go. Bit of advice in there is going a long way. I've just had this massive breeze because I've got the window open. So massive breeze just coming in. Feels amazing. Feels amazing to have a breeze. So yeah, like you know, have you guys got anything on your Christmas wish lists that you're hoping that your family members or what have you will get you? That sort of, I don't know, like not too personal. That's probably where I want to go. Like whether it's techie, it doesn't matter. Something that's useful that you really just want. You know, things like that. Like for me, I want another Yeti, right? Like I got a few Yetis, but this is my only Yeti water bottle, and I want the next size down. This one's very big, and so you know, so I think my daughter has sorted that one. But yeah, just little things like that. So I don't think I've got anything. I'm just trying to think if I've got anything really big. We actually, in our family, because we are very much a bunch of individuals who just tend to go and buy the things that we need when we need them, it makes it a little bit difficult. And so like to the point where my daughter will make a Christmas wish list and then you have to like go through it before you buy anything because she's probably bought half of the things off it in the month since she's made the list. And usually we're like, if you put it on the list, you cannot buy it until after Christmas. And you can't come to us and go, hey, did you buy me that thing? Because I'm going to go and buy it. And, you know, like, which is something she does. And I was just like, I'm not telling you that. She's like, well, I'm going to go and buy it. So if I'm going to have two, so, then that's, that's something else. Let's have a look here. Live stream consultants would like a winning lottery ticket. I mean, that would be useful for sure. SMA says, oh, I'm adding a bunch of Arduino bits and pieces so I can build fancy controller for focusing my telescope and managing power. That's awesome. My list is too long for everyone to get me anything. I make a long list. And the reason I make a long list is not because I'm greedy and I want everything off the list, but I still want a surprise. So if I make a long list, I'm not going to know what they got me. But if I've only got 1 or 2 things on the list or even 5 things on the list, then I'm going to have a fair idea of what I'm getting for Christmas. But I love surprises. So I make this ridiculous list. I had to explain it to my husband one year because he was like, it's so materialistic and you've got so many things that you want, blah, 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 blah. And there's no way I'm going to be able to get all of this. And I'm like, I don't want it all. One would be plenty, but I want the list so that I'm surprised at Christmas. So I just hope people buy me the thing I always need more of, coffee beans. Oh my gosh. A real gift from my husband would be a ready-made dream box. What's a dream box? I'm just Googling it. I don't know what a dream box is. Oh, is that what they're called? I'm like the Magic TARDIS craft cupboards. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Oh, yes. The problem I have with those sorts of things, so what it is, it's like it looks like a wardrobe with the doors closed, but when you open it all out, it's like full workstation for any kind of crafting. And the problem I have is the second that desk is out, it's never going back in, so you can't shut the cupboard. But I love the idea of them. I absolutely love the idea of them, especially for paper crafters. I can see that they would be phenomenal. It would only just be stuff anyway. Yeah, sometimes it is just stuff. But, I still like this. For me, it's the surprise. Right, that's how we did it as kids growing up. We had 15 to 20 items on a list, most important listed first. And that's the idea, being surprised. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You sort of age up when you just start buying something you need if you have enough money for it. And that's kind of where we're at. And even our daughter has started realizing that that's where she's at now, is if she wants something and she's got the money for it, she tends to just go and get it. But I'm a really Christmas person. I love Christmas morning. We have a tradition here where we do a Christmas box on Christmas Eve, and it's one box and it's for our family, for our immediate families, my husband, my daughter, myself. And we open that box, and what's in that box each year changes a little bit, but it's very similar. It's a new set of pajamas, it's some hot chocolate mix, or some popcorn. Sometimes it's a novel that each of us like an author that we all love, or something. Well, each individually of us love. It's a novel we've wanted to read. That's in the box. Or a Blu-ray for us to watch together while we eat the popcorn in our new pajamas. And that's it. It's as simple as sometimes it's a board game, or a puzzle. It hasn't been a puzzle for a few years. But yeah, that's what we do with those. And that's just a little thing that I started up when my daughter was very young. I think as far as she remembers, we've always done it. But we started up when she was very young. And it's just been, I don't know where, I heard it from somewhere else. I didn't invent it. I saw someone else that was doing it. And I'm like, I love that idea. That just, because we have a very chaotic Christmas day. So quite often on Christmas Day, I have my entire family here. And that could be 30 people. And that's, we basically gut our entire house. We've got a T-shaped house. We gut down the middle and just put tables. It's so hot, everyone wants to sit in the air conditioning to eat. So we just move all the furniture to the walls, and pull anything out of those rooms that we can, and throw them. Like my office, I end up with a goat track to my desk because it's just piled high with all the stuff from the living room. And we just create this long dining table that 30 to 40 people can sit at. And we just lay out all the food and just everyone has a wonderful time. And that's what we do here. It doesn't look fancy or flash because the tables are all different sizes and nothing matches. But that's part of it as well. That's part of it as well. Oh, 10 feet across opened up. That's massive. SMA Sky says, we also did something similar, not a box, but we'd go out Christmas Eve, drive around looking at the lights. Then we got home, we'd each have one gift to open that would mysteriously appear. Oh, I love that. That's really cool. That's really cool. Abby has really always been into Christmas lights as well. We used to take her for drives to see the lights. Now she goes with her friends, which I think is really cool that she's got her friends into checking out Christmas lights. Yeah, then we'd have a quick bedtime snack. Yeah, very similar, but we do it as there's this one gift under the tree that's always like it's usually some random box that I've just wrapped in wrapping paper, and everything's just in there. So, Little Crafty Nook says the German tradition is opening gifts on Christmas Eve and getting stockings on the day. Been doing that my whole life. Yeah, and that's a big thing. Like, so a lot of countries. Especially what are they called? The European countries, like so Norway, Sweden, Germany, a lot of those sort of European countries, they do Christmas Eve is more important. Well, it's not so much more important, but that's when they do like the eating and the gift giving, and then Christmas Day is a lot more low key. Oh yeah, look, it has been a random Amazon box before, for sure. Yes. It's just like, oh, that's a good size box. I'll just keep that. It just makes me think of that Driving Home for Christmas song. I don't know that song off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to listen to it to see. Is that a good thing or not a good thing? I don't know. Yeah, definitely been a random Amazon box before. But yeah, so like it's not just every country has its own traditions around Christmas, but I think every family does as well. And so like just seeing what different people do for Christmas and how they celebrate it. I think that for me, that made a really big difference. I grew up in a situation where Christmas wasn't always a happy time. And I didn't want that for my daughter. So I decided to let's build in some of these sorts of not expensive, they're not like sometimes they're Christmas pajamas, but sometimes they're just cute pajamas. Do you know what I mean? Like something that can be used all year round. That is just we've got time together, because for us, time with each other is the big thing. We all like spending time. And so yeah, just having these little things that just, I don't know. That's just how we do it. Little Crafty Nook says, I had a beautiful reunion this last week with my family I hadn't seen in 40 years. Wow. That's massive. That's massive. John says, I'm dreaming of a low-key Christmas and ideally a well air-conditioned one. Like, I think that's the thing in Australia. Like, everyone's like, oh, whose house should we have Christmas at? And then the big question is, do they have a pool or is it air-conditioned? If they've got both, it's definitely there. And then you're sort of like, which one do we want to do? Because it is hot. Like, it's not often we have a Christmas where it's not like 30 degrees through the day. And, it's a lot. It's a lot. 40 years, that sounds like an expensive Christmas. Yeah, look, we have 30 to 40, well, usually 25 to 30 people over for Christmas lunch every year. Sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes it's a bit less, but it's usually around that 25 to 30 mark. We do the majority of the catering here. Some people will bring some stuff, like my sister-in-law. She quite often jumps in and just goes heavy with a bit of pork or lamb or roast veggies or something. But we tend to do most of all the nibblies, all the desserts, and there's a couple of things that I make at Christmas time that probably doesn't sound very Christmassy to some of you, but you got to remember we're having ours is Christmas lunch on a hot summer's day. And so our Christmas lunch is probably a little bit different. So quite often the meats are served cold. They're not hot out of an oven. They're served cold. But every now and again we'll do something special and there'll be like one hot dish or something like that where, you know, it's hot. But quite often we'll do a cold lunch. And so, you know, we have these things. It's just something that we like to do. Cold cuts and salad for the win in the Australian summer. Yeah. Doug says, I recall a cold Christmas day in the last 10 to 15 years, and I think it was 16. I recall a cold Christmas day. And I recall some stormy ones too. Yeah. It's usually pretty hot though. And humid here as well. So, and I'm sure you guys are going to hear more about my Christmas plans coming forward, getting closer and closer. Next week, there will definitely be Christmas here. There'll be Christmassy things. They might not be in your face, but they'll be here and you'll be able to spot them. So 16C would be spring in Europe. Yeah, that's normally like 16C is usually like a winter's day here, like a high on a winter's day. We get the cold lows overnight, but at least where I am in Brisbane, a winter's day, middle of the day is usually 20, 22 degrees. Like at the high mark, but then overnight it can drop down to 0 or negative something. So it's got quite this long range for winter. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting how it all works. The contrast of listening to watching all the American European Christmas content with snow and reindeer while melting your face off is always incredibly funny to me. Look, I actually love putting the Christmas stuff on. I put the air conditioner on, shut all the curtains, try and keep as much heat out as possible, and then sit and watch one of these with a coffee. It's kind of what I do. Yeah. Shorts in the daytime, coat at night. How would you carry it? A coat at night. How would you carry it? Yeah, like it's one of those things. It's like I even had friends come up from Victoria, so 2 states under us, and they get much colder winters than we do. There's snow in Australia. We do get snow. So there's areas in New South Wales that get snow, which is the state below ours. But where we are, she came up in winter and she had jumpers and pullovers and things like that, and wearing like a long sleeve cotton t-shirt. And she's like, oh, let's get back inside where it's warmer. And we were just like, we've got the windows open. It's warm. Like, what? And then when she got out of her car and realized how hot it was, she was just like peeling off layers and she's melting. And she's like, this isn't even winter. What are we even doing here? But yeah, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. We've had some really chaotic storms the last couple of weeks. So I'm really hoping that eases back. I'd like less of those, please. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. A coat that has a backpack style stand under it to use while hiking. Yeah, like you just it's like anything, thin light layers that you can roll up and shove in your bag. You know, like I have shawls that I have, very fine lace weight shawls, and I roll those up and they're like little going out blankets. So, Doug, I had, like, you weren't here at the start of the stream, but my social stream ninja is not working properly. I can grab the comments and I can see that the GIF worked when you sent through the GIF earlier. I think a GIF worked, but for whatever reason the commands aren't working, and I don't know why. But I'm behind and I need to update my system. I just figured I needed to update it. But with the whole like Rodecaster not working, everything else wasn't working. I at least got all that going. And then it was just like, oh man, this isn't working either. I don't have time to, yeah, there you go. They're working. I didn't have time to keep digging in and working out what it was, but I've got a feeling, I think I just need to update their software. Oh, you have the same issue. Okay. Yeah, because it's just a bit frustrating. it's just a little bit frustrating. So I thought it was just I needed to update. Maybe there's a larger issue that we need to chat with Social Stream Ninja about. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answers. But yeah, it's an interesting time. Like there's some people who love Christmas. There's some people who aren't quite so into it. And I get that. Everyone's got their own history. Everyone's got their own story. I love Christmas. It's a time of the year that I really love. Big part of it is I get to cook for everybody. Like I get a bit panicky because I'm like I got to cook this much food and my kitchen is small and I've only got there's so much space and all this sort of stuff. But I love cooking for everybody. So I love like just making all like what I try to do. So not live streaming related. Sorry guys. I find out what dish means something to each person at Christmas. Like usually people have a memory associated with a particular dish. And I try to make sure that everyone's got at least one dish across the table somewhere that means something to them. Now, luckily for me and my family, there's a lot of overlaps. So it's not like I don't need 25 dishes or anything like that. A big one is a particular potato salad recipe. That's a huge one. Another one's my sister-in-law's pork. So she brings that. Then there's the trifle. I make a trifle. Do you guys all know what trifle is? Anyway, I make a very specific trifle. It has no green jelly in it because green jelly does not belong in trifle. I make a very specific trifle. I make the custard from scratch, all that sort of stuff. It's this big, huge thing of trifle. And then we quite often will have like pavlova as well, which this year is going to have new meaning. So, it's our first Christmas without my mum, and pavlova is her absolute favorite thing. So, like all these things, we all have this, it's got, all these different things. Port wine jelly, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one either. I'm not a big fan of that one. But basically, we have this discussion. Everyone's like, yes, but the red and the green is so Christmassy. I'm like, but the lime flavor doesn't work with the rest of the flavor palette. Steve from Social Stream Ninja is pretty responsive. I've heard that. I haven't actually had to message him, but I've read a lot of it. Doug says I got the jokes and the dice working, but not the commands. Okay. Raspberry and strawberry are pretty solid. I also like mango jelly, not in trifle, but I like mango jelly as well. Jelly in Australia is Jello in the USA. That's what we're talking about here, Jello. And definitely not diet jelly. Like seriously, it just don't have any. If like this dessert is full of double egg custard, cream, cake, fruit, and then and then you're worried if the jelly is diet or not. No, you don't get to have trifle if that's what you're worried about. That's that simple. Green jelly is a big no. Thank you for coming to my trifle TEDx talk. It's become such a talking point that it is now a regular conversation over on the Fiberific channel. Like if somebody, like we have a poke the bear meme over there for the channel members to use. Like there's a little emoji over there for the channel members. And it's one of the things that come up is the green jelly and trifle. Like I'm very passionate about no green jelly and trifle. John says, as someone who doesn't eat sugar and can barely eat carbs, I won't be having any. Don't worry about it. See, and this is the thing. If you were at my house for Christmas, I would find something for you. I would find a recipe. I would talk to people. I would find something and I will go, John, you can eat that one. Like I've got cousins and nieces and stuff who are celiacs. So I make sure there's some celiac options. I make sure, that when I'm cooking the meats and things like that, that I'm not using, stuffing ingredients or whatever that could affect them, even if they don't eat that bit. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of us have allergies. We're one of the few households in Australia that probably don't do seafood for Christmas because my brother is allergic to most seafood and I'm allergic to prawns. So, we try and make it so that everyone's got something and not just like, oh, here's some crackers and dip. No, you will be able to fill your plate with your meal knowing it's not going to affect you. And that's how I do Christmas. I make sure that people don't feel like, oh, I'm not going to really be able to eat anything. Like, sure, there's going to be things like they're going to look at the trifle and go, oh, I can't have the trifle because it's got, it's got the cake in the bottom, or it's got, custard powder in the egg custard, things like that. So there'll be things that they can't have, but there'll be an alternative option that's equally as good. That's how I try to do it. Because I hate having allergies and you go to places and they're like, oh yeah, you're allergic to stuff here. You can have the gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free thing because it won't have that little bit of something, but then you can't have anything else. And you're just like, but this is just a big plate of bland with a weird texture of bland. So yeah, and that's how I do it, and that's why the catering for Christmas goes. It makes my head explode, because I'm trying to make it special for every single person who sits at the table. So yeah, that's my gift for most people. Like we don't tend to do gifts. We do gifts for the kids, and they're all getting older now. But we don't usually do gifts for the adults. Every now and again, I'll do something like I may have made blankets or something for everybody, so I'll give them those. But we don't tend to do gifts for adults, and the gift is they get to come and sit and eat, and if they help me with the dishes, I'll be forever grateful. But yeah, that's about it. So that's what we do here. Anyway, that's a total random conversation to be having here in this place. But that's what I'm Christmas obsessed. So I'm very sorry if you've not been around for Christmas before. There's a good chance there will be some Christmas conversations happening over the next few weeks. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, that's a great gift. Yeah, well, and I do try. And I think because no one else puts the pressure on, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you always go above and beyond. You don't need to do that. Because I get a bit frazzled sometimes. A lot, actually. I get frazzled a lot. I'm like, get out of my kitchen, don't harass me, leave me alone, blah 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 blah. And so yeah, it's one of those things. Do I do Christmas specific craft on Fibrific? Sometimes I do, not every year, but I'll usually make some sort of Christmas decoration. So last year we did crochet baubles. Another year we've done some of the very traditional knitted Christmas balls out of Sweden. And so they've got like the Swedish Christmas motifs around them. But yeah, we tend to do some stuff here and there, like make little cute things like crocheted stars, but it's usually like quite small little things. So they sort of get put in amongst other projects as well. But we do definitely go Christmas ham on Fibrific. I mean, like Christmas shirts and Christmas headbands and tinsel, and like you guys are going to see a lot of it because I'm not going to pull the set down in between streams, because I do your streams here on Mondays and theirs on Thursdays. I'm not redressing the set, so you're going to see the backdrop stuff, but probably not so much the Christmas craft. If you want that, you'll need to come to Fibrific. But yeah, it's one of those things. I buy my kids out of state stuff throughout the year, as well as Swiss colony goodies for Christmas. I don't know what that is. What is Swiss? See, you got me Googling stuff. Swiss colony. What's that? Oh, it's like a food brand. So food gifts. Okay. Fancy food gifts is what it looks like. Fancy food gifts. That looks lovely. That looks like a special thing too. But yeah, I don't know, we all have our own different sort of ways of doing things for Christmas, for birthday, stuff like that. And I know not everyone here is obviously going to be on the same boat with this. Different countries, different religions, different thoughts around Christmas, different feelings around Christmas. I get it. But just so that you guys know where we're going to be going, it is going to probably get a little bit Christmas chaotic here. And then there'll be a point where I'm like, okay, I can't actually live stream in this space anymore because I'll be pushing stuff in from the house to clear space for the family for Christmas. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Oh, yeah, the Swiss colony stuff is the good stuff. Okay, good to know. Good to know. But yeah, so But yeah, and then the other thing that I tend to do is I start thinking about next year. And so it's already started happening now. So when I'm thinking about the all the Black Friday sales and all that sort of stuff, I sort of start thinking about like, oh, what am I going to need in the future, blah, 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 blah. So I start thinking about next year, like what's the plan for next year? So I'm already starting to put my calendar together for next year to make sure I'm like able to save up for things or do things or whatever that I want to do. So we've got like a family holiday coming up in February. So there'll be a stream that we miss in February, you know, like stuff like that. So that's all starting to get put together as well. And I try to think about all that. And obviously everything's fluid, right? Everything could change. But if I can get some things into the calendar, I can start planning for those things. So I've started doing some of that as well, which that will probably be a big discussion for sort of end of December. So I want you to start thinking about where you want to be next year. Do you want to be live streaming more? Do you want to be making more content? Do you want to pull back a little? Do you want to focus on something else? Do you want to pivot? There's so many different things to think about for our content journeys next year, and any changes that we want to make. I think that first quarter of the year is real, or especially the first month is a really good year to sort of start, a good time to really start leaning into some things. YouTube is not quite so busy. Like we don't have as much AdSense because we get all of that now. But sort of like January, February is always a bit quieter for AdSense. So you can still be seeing what your views are looking like. They're always a little low around the holidays. Obviously, unless you're like a Christmas channel, which then now is the time. But yeah, so, you know, you're thinking about these different things about where you want to go. What do you want things to look like for you by this time next year? And that's how I kind of look at what, and I sit here, I sit in this chair, in this spot, and I think about what do I want this to look like next year? Now, I have learnt the hard way to not make goals around too seriously, right? So I make my goals a little differently. I don't have so much as New Year's goals, right? New Year's Eve, like New Year's Day goals. I don't do the resolutions. I don't do those, because when I fail at those, my brain goes, well, you're a failure. That's it. And then everything else becomes hard. Everything, well, you failed at that thing. You're a failure. You're a failure. You're a failure. And everything becomes hard. Now, I understand my brain is a little different, and it's, you know, we all have our own little things. But when I have a resolution and then I fail at that resolution, it's very difficult. So what I do is something a little bit different. So I have seasons of change. So I'll have a quarter. So I tend to do them in 90-day seasons. I'll do a quarter where a focus is this thing and a focus is this thing. And whether or not I pass or fail at it, as long as I focused on it and did things towards it. So like if my focus is my health journey, so not necessarily like weight loss, but health journey. So I've got lots of allergies and lots of ailments, and I'm over 40, so my body's falling apart kind of thing. So focusing on ways to make my body work better for me. And I focus on that. Now, that doesn't mean that I hit that 90 days and I stop that and move on to the next thing. By the end of 90 days, a lot of these things should be habits, and you're doing those as well as focusing on this new stuff. So I tend to have like a focus point on health journey, focus point on finances, focus point on something about my family. And like I'll have a think of 4 main focus points. It doesn't mean they're the only things I focus on, but 4 main focus points for the year, and they'll be the goals. And then that way, if I don't have like a pass or fail kind of mentality on it. And if something happens and I need to shift the order in which I'm going to do the focus points, I do that as well. But I've learned that I have to be a little bit gentler on myself when it comes to this stuff. So yes. Oh, that's the snack you have Christmas Eve. It's the special Swiss colony. Oh, that is so cool. And Hickory Farms is the other one. Okay. SMA Sky says, when I'm thinking of making resolutions, it's like 1920 by 1080 or 3280. Oh my gosh. Little Crafty Nook says, I listened to Atomic Habits and it's really good, and it touches on this exact things. Yeah, look, I don't think I've have I read Atomic Habits? I'm not sure if I have. I'm sure I've read I'm sure I've read parts of it. I don't know if I've read the whole thing. I learned it from a friend of mine who she does the same thing, and because I was having a big discussion over. I had a goal a few years back and I didn't make it, and it was really rough, and it really it affected me for nearly 4 months, where everything was just, what's the point? I'm a failure. And it went across the board. It was, everything was affected by it. And so, because I'd made it was a big goal, and I really pushed hard for this goal, and then I didn't quite make it. And then it was just like, well, what's the point? You know, you work so hard towards something and you don't get it. What's the point? So I had to rethink about things. So like the following year, I had a goal, or a season of thinking, trying to get me to that same goal again. But because I thought about it so well, I didn't do it that year. It was the year after, because it was still a bit tender. But I included it into this year of thinking, and I had to sort of, and it just made it so that it was so much gentler. And I've still I still failed at the thing, but it was so much. I was like, yeah, look, you know what? I didn't make it to this point, but I did all of this, and that's not nothing. So, So maybe looking at things differently, having different perspectives, different ways, different things. That's the win for you. So there'll be some of that coming as well. There'll be more of that coming, and I'll share with you my plan for the year as well, so you guys can get an idea of where I go with that too. But anyway, I've rattled on a really, really long time today, and we have touched on so many different things. I love chatting with you all, but I think it's time. I need to go and sort, like, my throat. I'm about to cough again. I got that, the dry spot. And all I have is water, and I need more than water to deal with that. So, I will catch you all here next week, or in Doug's stream, or in Nick's stream, or whoever else is streaming that I'm a mod on. Have a fantastic week, and I will catch you all next time. Bye now. Oh no, I can't. Where's my end screen? Oh, I'm not ready. I move things. We could say goodbye again in a second when I can find it. Oh my gosh, there it is. Bye now.